guys know, my notes, I tried to make them a little bit small. So hopefully you guys can close that. For today, yes. Not yet. Can you guys see that? Better? Yeah, so please go ahead and sit there. All right, so let's take the area, right? Some of these terms you guys are familiar with, so let me just clarify certain things. The area is the extent or measurement of a surface or piece of land. In English, we pretty much say how many squares are there. That's really what we care. How many squares are there? Let me give you guys time to copy that. Once again, the area is the extent or measurement of a surface or piece of land. In reality, we mean how many squares are there. Obviously, copy that. The next figure, you guys don't need to copy it. It's just for me to explain what area is. I'm going to have an odd-looking figure. Like that. I'm going to have an odd-looking figure. Remember, the question is, how many squares are there? So I can just come over, number them, and count them. So you guys notice, that area of that figure is 13. And that's pretty much it, the area. The classroom, we see that we have squares at the bottom, so we wanted to know what the area of the classroom is. We can easily just count the squares. Remember, that's what area is. How many squares are there? And then perimeter, let's copy perimeter. Perimeter is a continuous line forming the boundary of a closed geometric figure. And the key word here is boundary. Perimeter is a continuous line forming the boundary of a closed geometric figure. If that was a park or a backyard or something, the area is the grass, right? It's the inside. The area is the inside, the perimeter is the fence. So for us to understand the difference, area is the grass, perimeter is the fence. So there's your difference. For perimeter, just count how many little squares are there at the side. If I count my little squares on this figure, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So the perimeter in this one will be 18. And the measurements, depending on how big, which measurements I'm using. Can I change my site? Yeah. For some figures, we have little short formulas. Formulas are just nothing but shortcuts. So the area of a rectangle has the formula of base times height. So the area of a rectangle has the formula of base times height. Once again, formulas are shortcuts. Sometimes counting the squares will take us a long time. So that's why we came out with formulas. As an example, don't have to copy my example, but as an example, I have a rectangle that is 5 squares one way and 3 squares the other way. We can count the squares, so we can easily count them, but I'm just going to go base times height, so I'm going to go, for my area, I'm going to go 5 times 3, right, the base and the height. So the area of that rectangle will be 15. So sometimes on the figures, you guys will not see my little squares on the inside, but you guys can see the numbers, what they represent. The 5 means it's 5 squares one way, the 3 means it's 3 squares the other way. Okay, so just go 5 times 3. I know sometimes you guys been told length times width, and sometimes base times height. The difference is base and height is when the rectangle is standing up. The base is the bottom number, it's where it lays, and the height is going up. Base and height is when the rectangle is standing up. But once we lay it down, we call it length and width. So for us to not get confused, because I know that's confusing, for us to not get confused, multiply the two numbers across a 90 degrees to make it simple. Right, there will be a 90-degree symbol in this case on my top right. Multiply the two numbers across a 90 degrees, and that's it. Whether you guys want to call it base height or length and width or whatever, just multiply those two for the area. For my perimeter, we can count the sides. 5 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3, that's 16. Notice how for perimeter I'm adding 5 plus 3 plus 5 plus 3. You add all the sides. For area, once again, for a rectangle, just multiply the two numbers across a 90 degrees. Now for a triangle, let's write down the area of a triangle. The area of a triangle has a formula of 1/2 times base times height. Very similar to a rectangle. The area of a triangle has a formula of 1/2 times base times height. I know for the rectangle was just base and height. For a triangle, I have the half of it. And the reason why is we know the area of a rectangle. In this case, it's 5 by 3. But if I come over and I cut my rectangle in half, I get a triangle. So matter of fact, for us to be able to see it, I'm going to erase half of it. So that's why the area of a rectangle, of a triangle, we're going to say half base times height. I'm adding the half at the beginning of the formula of a rectangle because a triangle is half of a rectangle. Right? So you guys have been told probably base times height divided by 2? Or sometimes they just go 1/2 base times height. But the half of a triangle is because a triangle is half of a rectangle. That's why we use the half. For our numbers, always look for the 90-degree symbol. On your triangles, the 90-degree symbol sometimes will be at a corner, like the case in here. Sometimes it will be inside, sometimes it will be outside. Always look for the 90-degree symbol. And so that's the important thing for area. For perimeter, obviously, just add the sides and you guys will be good. Now, in this case, my area is 1/2 times 5 times 3, which is 7.5. Right, we can deal with that. And for perimeter, I just said add the sides and you're good. But now, let's take a look at a circle. The area of a circle has a formula of radius squared times pi. And then we're going to write circumference of a circle has a formula of diameter times pi. Let me give you guys time to copy that. Alright, so the area of a circle is radius squared times height, times pi, and then the circumference is diameter times pi. The number pi, your calculator should have the number pi. Like there's a little symbol, but if you guys don't know it, it's like 3.14159 and on and on. People run it up to 3.14. That's why math, March 14th, it's Pi Day. 3/14. March 14th. Okay, so looking at this, for us to understand radius, because I mentioned the radius and the diameter, I'm pretty sure you guys know this, but just to clarify it, the radius is the distance from the center of the circle to the edge. So you guys see a radius there, and I see another radius to the left of it. Plural, we call it radii. And instead of radiuses, we call it radii. It's just a plural of radius. The diameter is from the edge to the edge. So if I give you guys the measurement of a radius, for you to figure out the diameter, just go radius times 2. Right? If I give you the radius, you can find out the diameter. If I give you the diameter, which is from edge to edge, for you to find the radius, divide by 2. That's an example. I give you guys a circle like this. I'm giving you guys the radius. The radius is 6. If you guys want the diameter is 12. Because remember, the diameter is from edge to the other edge. So we know, even though I just gave you guys one measurement, you guys know both, radius and diameter. And we're going to need both because we need the radius for the area and we need diameter for circumference. So we do need both. So as an example, you guys see my example radius is 6. So for my area, I'm going to go 36 times pi, which is about 113.10. The 36, because it's radius squared, right? 6 squared, that's how I got the 36. Remember, 36 times pi, right? Radius squared times pi. For my circumference, it's 12 times pi, because it's diameter times pi, which is about 37.7. Circumference is just a fancy word for perimeter. And we still deal with the edge. Perimeter in the circle, we call that circumference. Like I said, that's just a fancy word of perimeter. Any questions? No questions? All right, let's take a look at our worksheet. Let's take a look at this. The first 8 questions, I'm dealing with triangles and rectangles. I'm asking you guys for the area and perimeter of each. To be honest, for the perimeter of my triangles, I forgot to add the sides. So for triangles, I'm not going to be able to ask you guys for the perimeter, just the area. Number 1 is pretty simple. So let me take a look at number 4. I'm always looking for my 90-degree symbol. I noticed that it's made by 7.1 and 6. I know 6 is only this measurement, but it got extended just to see where they will cross at 90 degrees. So for my area of my triangle, I'm going to go 1/2 times 6 times 7.1. Let me write it like that. 1/2 times 6 times 7.1. If you guys are using a calculator, you guys know 1/2 in decimal 0.5. So you guys can do it in a calculator. Remember, once again, the 2 numbers that I'm multiplying are the 2 numbers that cross a 90 degrees. Whether the 90 degrees is inside, outside, or on the corner of the triangle. Did somebody get that? 21.3. In this class, because it's a math class, I really just care for the number. So 21.3 I'm okay with. Well, I'm just there. But I know later on you guys are going to take physics, or you guys are going to take a chemistry class. You guys are going to take a class where mathematics is involved. So if you, for the measurement, since I have inches times inches, because that was 6 inches, that was 7.1 inches, we write inches squared. For area, we do it to the second power, because technically we went inch times inch, so inch squared. But if you guys forget the measurement, you guys only write 21.3, I'll be okay.
So on all of them, we have to divide by a portion of it.
For triangles. So 1 through 4, yes. Because remember, a triangle is half of a rectangle. But then, questions 5 through 8, let's take a look at 5. We don't do half. So the area of that rectangle will be 9 times 3.8. There's no half because it's a rectangle. And then you guys multiply that out. What's that? 34.2. So for the area, it's 34.2. Perimeter, for rectangles, you can figure it out. I know this side right here is 3.8. I know this side right here is 9. Add everything. That gives me what? 25.6?
Hey, what'd you do after 34.2?
34.2, just that. If you guys are interested in the measurements, this is inches squared, and here it is just inches. Once again, I'm interested in the number. You guys forget the measurement. I know your chemistry teacher, your physics teacher, they do care. For perimeter, just add all the sides. 9 plus 3.8 plus 9 plus 3.8. So, one thing, for the first four, on the triangles, you guys will not be able to find perimeter, because I forgot to give you all the measurements. But for rectangles, you can. All right, any questions for the first 8? You don't get it? For area, remember I say base times height, which are the two numbers across the 90 degrees. You see my 90 degrees there? I'm going to go multiply those two numbers. 9 times 3.8. I know you see more than 190 degrees, but whichever 90-degree symbol you pick, you're still choosing the same two numbers. So for rectangles, just multiplying, that's it. 9 times 3.8.
Okay.
That's it. For perimeter, add all the sides.
Okay.
So we went 9 plus 3.8 plus 9 plus 3.8. Okay? Now there is a half on triangles, but not rectangles. Alright, any questions on the first 8? Alright, now let's take a look at question number 9. Find the area and circumference for each. Use your calculator's value of pi. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. Remember, tenth is 1 decimal place. Because we think of the number 10, there's 1 0, so 1 decimal place. So, I know my radius is 5.6. So for the area, I'm going to go 5.6 squared times pi. Once again, I'm using the number pi from the calculator. So I go 5.6 times 5.6, so that will basically go square root times pi, and if you don't have pi, use 3.14. And you get 98.5. Once again, I did run it to the nearest 10. So remember, for area, radius times pi. For circumference, because I'm asking you guys for both, area and circumference. For circumference, I'm going to go 5.6, which is the radius, times 2. That gives me the diameter, times pi. Remember, I need that diameter, so that's why I go 5.6 times 2. So diameter times pi. Yeah. Just if you want to right now, I'll give it to you. So I'm just gonna go 11.2 times pi. If you don't have pi, round it as 3.14. I get 35.2. I round it to 1 decimal place. There's some rounding them here. So 35.2. So that's the area, and that's the circumference. From area, it's radius squared times pi. Circumference is diameter times pi. Okay. Any questions on the front side of your paper?
You
times it by 2 for all of them?
The radius times 2, because you want the diameter. Because remember, the diameter is from edge to the other side. It's the whole thing.
Okay.
That's why we times it by 2. Okay. We're good on the front side of the paper? Alright, now on the back side, I'll let you guys figure this one out. The thing is, just to read this, there's a part. You guys can see my part. What this thing says is we're going to put a fence around it. So don't put a fence inside the park. Only around it. Which you guys need this measurement, this measurement, this measurement, and around here. Right? We want to put a fence around it. I know that the left side, the three, this side, and that side, you guys can figure it out. Right? That's a perimeter, you can add those. The tricky part will be this side. But if you notice, this circle has a diameter of 700 feet. I'm calling it 700 because 300 and 400 make it 700. So it has a that circle has a diameter of 700 feet. You guys can figure out the circumference of the whole circle. You only need half of it. So obviously, get the circumference of the circle and divide it by 2. That gives you the half of it. And then add the sides, and that answer is what you guys will do for question number 1. Right? This gives you a number. So I'm asking you guys, how much fencing are you guys going to need? So that gives you your perimeter of the park. Now my question for number 2, we have 2 companies. One company charges me 30 cents per foot. So obviously, whatever you guys write for number 1, multiply by 0.30. And that gives you a price for this company. For the second company, they charge us 32 cents per foot. So the number you have for number 1 times 0.32, that gives you the price for this. However, the second company gives us a 10% discount if we go more than $500. You guys will go more than $500, so you guys do get a 10% discount. For us to figure out the discount, whatever price they have, multiply this by 0.90. Because if they give you a 10% discount, that means you pay 90%. So like I said, figure out how much is it with 32 cents per foot, and multiply that by 0.90. That's with a 10% discount. One of these 2 companies is cheaper. That's what I'm asking you guys for number 2. Which company is cheaper? How much do they charge you? So for part A, find the perimeter. For part B, find out which one's cheaper. Okay? Any questions? We're good?